Hi Teresa,
Hello, Mambir. Hi. Hello.
how are you?
I'm doing great. Really excited to be here. Thanks for having me on this interview. Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for your time. Welcome to Growth Mindset Conversation. Hello everyone. Welcome to 29th episode of Growth Mindset Conversations. And if you can hear us, you can see us, please do ping me so that comment wherever you are watching us, maybe Facebook, LinkedIn or YouTube. So we generally have more audience on LinkedIn. So if you're watching us, please do post a comment so that we know we are actually live. We are not just imagining that. Right? So technology plays. Okay, so thank you so much, Teresa, for joining us in 29th episode of Growth Mindset Conversations. And thank you everyone for joining us. We have Teresa Ramos with us. So let me introduce Teresa Ramos to all of you. Teresa has a degree in theoretical physics, a degree in music, a master's degree in telecommunication engineering from King's College London, and an executive MBA, and is a member of IOC, Institute of Coaching, from Harvard Medical School of Harvard University. Her extensive business experience encompasses commercial experience in big multinationals and startups, in some of the best academic institutions in the world, as well as international organizations. She has worked as a senior executive leading global teams in top technology companies worldwide, such as British Telecom, O2, Vodafone, Telefonica, and Siemens. She has academic experience collaborating with various business and professional colleges. As a coach, her tools come from both her formal training and her vast professional experience as an industry leader. She deploys a structured and analytical approach to search for pragmatic solutions, focusing on client strengths. Her client value the combination of her empathetic style with high energy presence and outstanding listening skills. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mambir. Hello, everybody. Hi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Hello.
Teresa, what's your time there right now?
It's 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm based
And
in
do tell
Madrid.
us where are you based?
I'm based in Madrid, in Spain.
Spain. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us from there. So today's topic is how can you create and manage innovation in tech teams? So as the show is called Growth Mindset Conversation, so the first question to you, Teresa, is what is growth mindset for you?
Thank you, Mambir. Yeah, that's a very good question to start with. Growth mindset for me is that kind of curiosity that we tend to have when we are feeling happy and at ease. That's the childlike quality that makes us, when we go to a shop, we want to touch everything and we want to push buttons. That's like, I love, for example, cats. This curiosity kill the cat, how they're always curious about everything. So, for me to explain it in a very easy to understand terms, growth mindset is that carefree, childlike curiosity that drives us to try new things, to experiment new things in a playful way. Not in a, oh, I need to drive my performance, I need to find a new solution, but in a, curiosity driven way. It's all about fun, it's all about play, it's all about childlike quality.
That's a beautiful way. You said it multiple times, childlike curiosity, and I loved it. And as the topic is innovation, and I think I'm kind of feeling to say that the childlike curiosity becomes very important for innovation also, isn't it?
It is, and it does, because most of the time when companies or teams want to innovate, there is that pressure. There is this, oh, I
Yeah.
need to innovate. And that's actually the opposite. That's what the way our brain is wired, that's what actually kills that growth mindset and that innovation mindset that we can develop. So it's
Yeah.
important, as you mentioned, it's very important to keep this childlike curiosity.
Yeah. And in today's world, I guess this innovation, curiosity, and childlike curiosity, growth mindset, they're all important in every team. So, in your experience, you have extensive experience working with tech teams, working in the tech world. Why innovation becomes more.
The context is very important here. Now we live in the, it was a few months back, it was the VUCA world. Now it's the bunny world. That's a world where everything moves really fast. Technology is changing at a very, very fast speed. So if we want to stay relevant, we need to innovate. Just this is, if you remember Alice in Wonderland, the book, and Alice Through the Looking Glass, they talk about the Red Queen paradox. And the Red Queen comes from the, the pack of cards. The Red Queen is a queen that has to keep running all the time just to stay in the same place. So
Hmm.
this is very relevant for us in technology because everything is moving so fast and everybody around us are changing so much and innovating so much that if we don't innovate, we will be left behind. So everybody around us is running. We need to run just to stay where we are. So that's why innovation is so important. It's not an option, it's a must. We need to innovate if we want to stay where we are.
Yeah, yeah. And when you were saying this, everything is so fast around us, and innovation is important in tech teams. At the same time, it is, kind of what comes to my mind is there's a little paradox here, because for innovation, you need to have that childlike curiosity, that childlike little bit of stillness in this high speed world to innovate, right? There is some kind of paradox here. What do you think?
I totally agree, Mambir. I couldn't be more in agreement with you. The way our brain is wired, innovation is in the cortex, which is our
Mm-hmm.
rational part. For the cortex to work properly, we need to have. Sorry, I'm going to digress a bit. There is this model of the brain. It's about how it functions. It's very schematic, but it states that the brain is made up of three layers. Our
Yeah.
reptilian brain that keeps us, that's like the shopkeeping. Our heart beating, our breath, digestion, temperature, it's about us, our body, keep us alive and safe. Then there is the limbic brain, which is about emotions, feelings, bonding. And then there is the
Mm-hmm.
cortex, which is
Yeah.
makes us intelligent, human, we plan, we remember. That's the kind of thing that our cortex deals with. The cortex also deals with innovation. That's where we innovate. However, to innovate, our reptilian brain needs to feel safe and our mammal brain needs to feel safe. So when we are in an environment where we don't feel safe because there is a war in Ukraine and we don't know
Mm.
if it's going to affect us, because there is a pandemic and we don't know if we have it or our loved ones have it, our brain is focusing on that, on keeping us safe and keeping us alive, and all our resources go there instead of going to the cortex to help us innovate.
Yeah.
So it's very important to understand this to create a culture and a spirit of innovation because that's how we are wired, that's how evolution got us here. And it's very difficult for people to innovate if we are in an environment like the one we are in, all of us now, with so much chaos, so much uncertainty, so many unknowns. It's very difficult. And it's very difficult for leaders and for organizations to foster that culture of innovation. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it cannot be done. Sorry, it doesn't mean that it cannot be done, but it's more challenging than that it could be. I don't know, maybe 3 years ago.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing that point of safety. And we'll come back to this point. It's a very important point for creating engaged and innovative teams. So, we have a question from the audience. Pramila, thank you for asking this question about development mindset. We'll come to that question. I think because we are talking about innovation right now, we'll want to go more deeper about that particular thing. So, Teresa, you have worked for the innovation project for Stanford University, right? How
Yes.
do leaders, what's your experience? How do leaders create a culture of innovation in their technology teams?
Mm. Uh, it's, as I said, based on how our brain works, it's very
Hmm.
important to create a culture of safety. And when we talk
Hmm.
about safety, we talk about physical safety, emotional safety, and psychological safety. Because
Okay.
we are addressing all the different layers on our brain.
Yeah.
Physical safety. Well, that's very easy. We need to work in a place where we feel, I don't know, we are not too cold, or we are not too hot, or we are not hungry, or we are not, I don't know, physical safety. This was almost a given always before the pandemic. However,
Yeah.
with COVID, you could see that people were, rightly so, they were very worried about the physical safety, with the face
Hmm.
mask, the hydrogels, and everything. So, basic physical safety. Then, on top of that, emotional safety and psychological safety. That is about, can I can I say what I want? Can I say what I think? Am I going to be judged? Am I going to be laughed at? Am I going to be labeled as crazy? Am I going to be labeled as unsensible? Am I going to be pigeonholed in a certain category if I express my views? And that's where leaders can really work to create this culture of psychological safety. How
Yeah.
do I deal with people? How do I interact with people? What do I allow in my teams? When I say what do I allow, is what do I encourage? What do I tolerate? Do I tolerate a culture where people's opinions are discarded? And when I
Yeah.
talk about psychological safety, it doesn't mean that every opinion is agreed with, or that every idea is implemented. No, that's not. It's a culture where I can express what I think, and I can also disagree with other people. But
Yeah.
disagreement doesn't mean a fight. It means that everybody can bring their piece to the table. All opinions or ideas are going to be contemplated and considered with respect, even though they are going to be disagreed with and they are not going to be implemented.
Yeah. Yeah. And that has to be the culture around the team. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's very important to understand that this psychological safety, it doesn't mean that it's all nice and lovey-dovey and there are no arguments. There have to be arguments. And people have, opposing points of view. That's okay. It's how you deal with them.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I'll come back to Pramila's question. I think she's relating development mindset with innovation mindset. I'm not sure, Pramila, if you can clarify, that will be great. So her question, Teresa, is what is the best way to investigate the development mindset?
Um, what I like, I do a lot of work with positive psychology. And going back to my first answer about this childlike curiosity, the best way to develop it is you start, if you read about positive psychology, and particularly Barbara Fredrickson's work
Mm-hmm.
about hair broaden and build theory. If you start meetings, if you start interactions with something positive, get people to think about something nice that happened at the weekend, something that makes them smile. Start your meetings with a joke, with a funny comment, something to lighten up the atmosphere. That opens up a whole new part of your brain that makes you feel safe, and it opens up your cortex, gets you more creative. Use humor, but don't overuse it because it can come across as lightweight. So get people in that positive mood. Get them to think about something nice that they did at the weekend. Get them to think about their children. Get them to think about, I don't know, a football game they went to. So start with that positive mindset, and then get them. This is something very difficult because sometimes when you're running an innovation workshop, there is the one expert there that everybody looks up to. And people would feel reluctant to express their views because they will think that they are going to be judged by this expert. So reassure people that if they are there, it's because they have every right to be there. Just being there means that they are the experts. They know what they are talking about. No opinion is going to be discarded. Everything is going to be considered. So create that atmosphere of openness and curiosity. When everybody makes a comment, say, tell me more about it. Can you say more? Can you tell me more? So start by modeling the behavior yourself. Be curious and be non-judgmental and be playful.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And Pramila also brings the point of social safety. Is it possible to say social safety? I think yes, social safety is one of those safety verticals which Teresa has mentioned, right, Teresa? It's one
Yes,
of those things.
the reptilian brain is all about me, keeping me
Yeah,
alive and safe. Mammal brain is about connections, and we are pack animals. So that's where social safety is. How do
yeah,
I feel in this group? Do I feel safe? So that would
yeah,
be social safety. Yes,
yeah,
thank you. Yes.
yeah, yeah. And I hear you saying that multiple types of safety: social safety, physical safety, emotional safety, psychological safety. They all these things can stop a team being innovative. So, what else apart from what any other factor that can stop a team being innovative?
I think the main one is the element of safety in all its variants.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
example, what I mentioned before, is there an expert here that I think is going to judge me? Maybe that
yeah,
person is not going to judge you, but you think they are going to judge you. So you don't feel safe. You feel that your status in the company is in danger.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's also a type of safety. How safe is my status? How safe is my reputation?
yeah, yeah.
Am I going
Understand.
to make a comment and is everybody going to think, oh, that was so stupid? How could she think that? Oh, I thought she was bright, but she's not.
Yeah,
That
a
stops in.
lens.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 definitely. So we have another question from our Facebook. Andre is writing that now, right now there are multiple generations at work. How do we make sure that we are able to create that innovation and curiosity kind of a culture across these generations at work?
That's a very good question, and the answer could take me weeks. Because
And we don't have weeks.
yes, I know, I know. Basically, it's important to study the context. What is
Yeah,
your context for innovation? How safe is people feeling, and what areas are they not feeling safe in? I mean, uh, as I said, physical safety has always been a given, or almost always. But now with COVID, it's not a given. Are you working with people who live with, maybe they are high risk, or maybe they live with elderly parents, or maybe they live with people at risk? So if that is the case, you have to be extremely careful with physical safety. In your environment, do you have a group of real experts? I mean, really well established and considered in the company. If that is the case, anybody is going to be looking up to them and feeling very reluctant to make any comment that they feel these experts are going to judge. In a situation where reorganization or redundancies are on the map, if there is going to be a round of redundancies, people are not going to feel very innovative because they want to keep the status quo. So they are not going to venture new ideas because they want to stay in the company and they don't want to risk being labeled as, candidate for being kicked out of the company just because their ideas are too crazy and out there. So study the context, see and evaluate what could make people feel unsafe and address that and address it very openly. It's not a question of
yeah.
what I'm going to make us. No, address it openly.
Yeah, I think that's the key line here, that addressing it openly, accepting, acknowledging, and talking about it is something. And I think across multiple generations, another thing, Teresa, which comes to my mind is in one way, meet people where they are. So you have to go and meet people where they are exactly. Somebody's in their 50s might have a total safety definition with respect to somebody who's in their 20s, early 20s or late 20s, right? So they are
Yeah.
two different generations altogether.
And that is a very good point, Mambir, because also with innovation, particularly when we talk about tech, we have the digital
Yes,
natives and the digital immigrants. Digital
absolutely.
immigrants are, as you say, elderly people with a wealth of experience, a lot of know-how. However, when they interact with younger generations, Instagram, Twitter, all these, tech savvy people, older generations tend to feel very, I don't know, insecure, and they tend to feel like, oh, I'm not going to say anything because if I contribute, everybody's going to realize that I don't know how to do a tweet, or I don't know, I don't have an Instagram account. So all these people that have a lot to contribute, they tend to keep quiet because they fear that they are going to be judged as technically incompetent.
Yeah.
And that's a very important point, Mambir. Thanks for bringing it up. Very important.
Thank you. Thank you. And whatever we do, whether we do psychological safety, creativity, I think you have a lot of experience in corporate. Based on my experience, also, leaders reach a point where they're not able to ignite that spark. When teams can really, really be creative, they are openly discussing it. So when leaders hit that glass wall, when they are not able to create that or ignite that spark, what should they do? Any suggestions for these leaders who are struggling to ignite the spark in their tech teams?
Fantastic question. I love the question, Mambir, because linking with the question and the comment before, many leaders when they hit this point, they think, "Oh, I'm not going to let it show. I have to hide. I have to pretend because everybody's going to think that I'm a failure." Whereas
Hmm.
it's quite the opposite. It's totally normal and totally human that you've reached this point because the environment
Yeah.
we live in is very challenging. And Stephen Covey, in his book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I think it's the seventh habit is sharpen the soul, which is take time to replenish, recharge your batteries. So every leader is going to reach this point at one time or another. My advice would be take a break, recharge your batteries, get some help. My advice would be reach out to Mambir, reach out to me, reach out
Yeah.
to I'm doing the hard sell, but get some help. It's normal that
Yeah.
you get there because we are exhausted. We are all living very challenging times, challenging in general and very challenging for innovation and to create a culture of innovation. So get in touch with a coach or a consultant, somebody who can work with you and help you get that spark again, help you recharge your batteries. You can't
Yeah.
pour out of an empty cup. Your cup is empty. Fill it up, get some help, and then you can give back to the organization again.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ask for help, whether it's from your manager or a coach or some industry expert. Ask for help. I think that's the key takeaway. And also accepting and acknowledging. I'm connecting the dots to the earlier answer, Teresa, that, in this situation also, bring it on with your team, bring it on the table. Say that, this is where I am right now. What do you think? What kind of feedback you have for me? What can we do here together? So I think it's basically we are all in this together.
Exactly. And that's a fantastic point, Mambir, because when you do that, you are being open, honest, vulnerable. You are creating a culture of trust. So by opening up and saying, look, I'm not feeling as innovative as I used to feel. Um,
Yeah.
you are opening up and you're creating a safe space and you're modeling the behavior for when somebody else in your team, be people working in your team or being your managers, are
Yeah.
feeling the same. You
Yeah.
are giving them permission to do that, and that
Yeah.
creates enormous safety.
Yeah, absolutely. We are almost at the end of our time, and we have an interesting question from Vikram. Thank you, Vikram, for joining in. So he says, invariably, step one, collection of innovative idea is relatively easier. How do companies manage step two, rolling out the innovative idea owing to real world constraints like lack of resources, budget? I love the real world part of it. So constraints like lack of resources and budget. So, Teresa, what's your opinion on this?
Yes, and
Vikram, feel free to share your opinion on the on comments also. What's your experience? We will be happy to learn from your experience also. Go ahead, Teresa. I'm sorry.
thank you, Vikram. I would also say that gathering ideas is not so easy because people tend to give ideas that go in line with your second question, with the business we are in, things, how things have been done in the past, the old stuff. And they tend to produce those ideas because they think those are the ideas that are going to be valued. So it depends on the company strategy and depends on company leadership, how they want to. Let's imagine you already have your stack of ideas. It's important to put a focus on what do we want to do? Do we want to be incrementally innovative? That means, do we want to build on what we have now? Or do we want to be disruptive when we innovate? That is, do we want to innovate in a space that is totally different to what we have been operating in before? So, and that goes into the gathering, Vikram, that goes into the first step. I think that once you are very clear on what you want to do you want to be incremental? Do you want to be disruptive? Then you gather the ideas there, and once you gather them, it's a question of prioritizing them and allocating resources to them. And you prioritize them depending on the criteria that you have defined in step one, which is how disruptive or how incremental do I want to be? Where do I want to get? Am I here and I want to get over here, or am I here and I want to get over there? And that's where you set your priorities. That's how you gather your ideas, and that's how you allocate your budget and your resources.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure I
And
have answered.
also, no, no, you have, and I just wanted to add something here. And also, I think tying or aligning your innovation projects, innovation with the real purpose of the organization. So, as a
Yes.
leader, I think it's your responsibility to do that homework. That why we are doing this project, what is the need. Those are the questions you need to answer, because sometimes we just feel fancy about things and we try to, in the name of innovation. I've seen many leaders doing these, in the name of disruption or innovation. So aligning with the bigger purpose, aligning with what's the vision and mission of the organization. And that's where the real buy-in is, right? People talk about, some leaders have a knack of business conversation, some don't have, especially in the tech world. So I belong to tech world, so I can bring in that. So tech world people do that. I cannot have that kind of business conversation. I always challenge leaders that it's about aligning with the purpose. So it's not that somebody has lack of it and somebody don't. That person has come up with his or her homework and aligning with the purpose. Thank
Eh,
you so much. Hope everyone's question is answered. And do keep on asking more questions on the chat, on the comments. Do write in your comments, feedback, whatever. And Teresa or I will join in on the comments after the show today. So, and we will answer those queries. Teresa, that's right, right? We can answer those queries
that,
in the comments, right?
that's right. I will encourage people to reach out to me and to you, Manbir. Keep sending the questions and ask anything you want, or let's open a conversation about, or let's continue this conversation about anything that
Absolutely.
you put in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and absolutely. Let's make it real and let's, bring in your challenges, whatever challenges you are facing. We will be very happy to bring in our opinion, and our opinion may not be 100%, right? So we are all learning on the way. Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you for these deep insights and the knowledge you have shared. I'm really, really grateful to you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us live. And if you're watching this as a recording, thanks to you too. I hope you have got value from this and you will keep experimenting with this learning. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Manbir, and thank you, everybody. Thanks for sharing your time and thanks for your questions. And of course, Manbir, thanks very much. A pleasure with you.
Thank you. See you all again in the next episode in this series of Growth Mindset Conversations. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.